Très bien. Je reviens. Les amis, je suis de retour. Désolé, j'ai dû faire un truc. Hop là. Épisode 2 donc. Et comme je vous l'ai dit, on fait tout l'épisode 2 et après, fin de live.
How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth.
I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet.
I do apologize for being late. I was obliged to clear up some urgent business.
Hop là. Bon.
At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. However, there may be some new developments, but I don't know if they are linked to your mother. We have found Elizabeth Adams' body in her room. I'm afraid she was brutally murdered, stabbed several times.
I can't believe it. We bumped into each other last night on our way to bed.
Yes, I know. Duchess Hillsborough informed us that she accompanied you at the beginning of the evening. You apparently bumped into Miss Adams, who wanted to speak to you. We are told you turned her away, and she went away on her own.
That's correct.
Do you know what she wanted to see you about, by any chance?
Not in the least.
Pity. The poor child was probably trying to find help.
I thought it could wait until tomorrow.
Apparently not. Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed. I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your help.
Why is that?
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen, Louis. Find out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust you. You have my backing. You must stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Maybe you could start by going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
Y a-t-il des suspects?
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you,
Bon,
Louis.
allez, go.
Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, you've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
Ah, ok. Ok. Ok.
nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781.
On regarde un petit peu tout ce qu'il y a, hein, les amis. Hein.
Which four-letter word could open this chest?
A-R-S-N, modifier première lettre. A-R-S-N. A-R-S-N. Peut-on des... Bon, on va aller enquêter sur la mort de l'autre. Alors, on va fouiller toutes les salles. Hein. On va faire tous un par un. Voilà. Alors.
What do you want from me, de Richet?
Greetings. It's fallen to me
Cut
that...
the crap! Get to the point. We both know why you're here.
And have you got anything to tell me?
What does it matter? It's too late anyway. Do what you have to do and get out. All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions.
Ah merde.
Goodbye, sir. We shall meet again.
Probably.
Ouais. Probably.
A pattern with 4 circles.
On avait une clé sur moi? Non. Ah ouais.
Dear Monsieur Peru. All right. I've retrieved everything. A ruble. Another painting on the Massacre of the Innocents? Nice decor for a Revolutionary Tribunal judge's room. The Massacre of the Innocents by Rubens. A bit gloomy. Guess my room is not that bad. The Massacre of the Innocents, but by Van Harlem. I think that Mortimer likes to play mind games with his guests.
Dear friend.
Alors, il n'y a rien d'intéressant en fait. Il va y avoir quelqu'un encore. On va se faire engueuler.
Hannibal crossing the Alps. Another military success. Why do I get nothing but the Battle of Alexander at Issus, or how Alexander the Great triumphed?
My dearest son, it's a beautiful weapon. A lovely damask blade. It's marked with the initials of the manufacturer in Versailles.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
Can you tell me who was present at the game, please?
Well, there were Lord Mortimer, President Washington, and Sir Gregory.
Thank you.
Ah, and His Eminence Piaget as well. Excuse me, I nearly forgot him. Poor soul.
C'est vraiment que c'est du français, hein.
Did any of you leave during the game?
Not that I know of, monsieur. I didn't exactly spend my time noting the other guests' comings and goings, but I don't think so.
Thank you. What time did the game end?
I can't say exactly. As for me, I must have stayed until midnight. I was exhausted, couldn't think straight. So I preferred to go up to bed.
On your way up to bed, did you notice anything out of the ordinary?
No, not in the least. The whole manor was sound asleep.
Not really, no. Did you notice anything unusual during the evening?
On va tous les faire, hein, comme
Nothing
ça,
at all. Except the luck of the devil of Lord Mortimer and Sir Gregory at cards.
Did they win much?
Oh la la, monsieur, they cleaned us out more like. But I plan on getting it all back before we leave. Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day. A bicorn decorated with a cockade. It must belong to a French soldier.
French actor Talma is Nero in Britannicus, the last emperor of the Caesar dynasty.
There's just one holster in Bonaparte's gear, and the pistol is missing. On the other hand, his cleaning equipment is in mint condition. That's typical of the soldier in him.
My dear...
A ruble.
Duchess Emily Hillsborough.
Alors, il va y avoir qui cette fois-ci?
Tending children at the orphanage in Harlem. I find it a little hard to King George III in coronation robes. Nice touch for the room of an English duchess.
Dear E.
A letter from William Pitt the Elder, addressed to Emily. He was the English Prime Minister. This letter dates from 15 years ago now.
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Yes, we all did. Rumors spread quickly, you know. How awful. I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
Elizabeth was stabbed 9 times. No doubt she suffered greatly.
9 times? What monster is capable of such a horrible thing? Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to look into this case, Emily.
Really? Are you Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
Since your arrival, did you notice anything strange about Elizabeth?
Everything that happened around that poor child was strange. You saw that for yourself.
I know. You're right. I'm looking for leads to try to reduce the number of suspects.
Well, I would say that in addition to ourselves, you could also cross off President Washington. I went to see him during the night. I had some business with him, and I can confirm that he didn't leave his room all night.
That gives Washington an alibi. Since your arrival, did you notice anything strange about Elizabeth?
Everything that happened around that poor child was strange. You saw that for yourself.
I know. You're right. I'm looking for leads to try to reduce the number of suspects.
Well, I would say that in addition to ourselves, you could also cross off President Washington. I went to see him during the night. I had some business with him, and I can confirm that he didn't leave his room all night.
That gives Washington an alibi. I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.
William Pitt the Elder, Earl of Chatham. Golden elixir. I'll keep it for later.
A letter from William Pitt the Younger, addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Emily has indeed some powerful backers.
Madam.
Alors non, on peut pas rentrer. Oh attends. Non. Oh, je vérifie tous les amis.
President George Washington. President George Washington. A map of Vermont.
My dear George, my dear George.
Portrait of George Washington.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know, Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Peru, but that case was closed, if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened. And I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry. Countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. I shan't keep you any longer, Mr. President.
Feel free, Louis. If there's anything I can do, just ask.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
Bonne nouvelle. Je vais m'acheter le bibliothèque.
No,
Ah, cool.
Nothing
Cool,
special.
Ça va, mon pote? Je veux voir, il est sympa. Il est cool.
Has anyone told you that Elizabeth was killed last night?
Yes. Rumors spread quickly.
Huh. He looks very put out.
It's horrible. How did it happen?
I can say nothing to you, sir. You'd better follow your host's instructions and stay in your quarters.
I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
Ça va et toi? Bah moi écoute, depuis hier soir j'ai un maux de ventre et j'ai eu de la fièvre ce matin. Et là j'ai plus de fièvre, mais j'ai toujours des maux de ventre. J'ai mangé un McDo pas très frais hier soir, donc je pense que ça a dû jouer là-dessus.
Knocked over bottle of wine.
Intoxiqué. Vous avez utilisé quelque chose semblable,
What
d'accord.
clunk is that? Hey, it's a Bordeaux. That's a Chateau de Briand. It's a great wine.
Ok.
I don't know what's happened to this wine,
Donc la
but
meuf a été
it's
intoxiquée.
undrinkable.
Super. Neuf coups de couteau.
The blade is short and thin. Well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood.
Ça c'est
Still
un truc
fresh.
pour ouvrir les enveloppes.
The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. Poor girl bled to death.
Oh la vache. C'est une horreur.
Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15. Where's a size like that here? Peru? Washington, maybe.
Pas pas très... Oh là là. La tête, déjà.
I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. What a strange smell. What a strange smell. She bled from the nose.
À son nez alors. Oh.
No wounds, but blood on the right hand.
Mains,
nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol.
Oh.
Blood,
les jambes.
No trace of blows on the
Apparemment,
legs.
elle a eu pareil des...
More tattoos, similar to those on the rest of her body.
Bon, j'ai essayé d'examiner comme ça.
Clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. That would clear Emily de facto because she was still with me at the time. The blood spatter indicates that the murder must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that. Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America.
Regardons ça de plus près pour
I
voir ce que
wonder if
c'est.
Washington's involved. Pentagram? What the hell's been going on here? Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual? Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual?
Eh, y a un bug là.
A notebook, written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out.
August 24th. June 11th.
Une arme à feu.
A pistol? Fairly new, I'd say. And judging by the weight of it, fairly light. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and well, there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. Right. I shall have to find its owner.
November.
Ah, je l'ai pas vu lui.
Has Sir finished with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
Bon, allez, on va voir. Alors, je pense qu'on a bientôt fait le tour un peu.
The alchemist is a young man. A chest locked with a 4-letter code. Surely a word close to the owner's heart. The alchemist is an old man.
A fragment of amber.
What can I do for you, de Richet?
Monsieur, Lord Mortimer has appointed me to investigate the tragedy that befell us last night.
Oh, yes. It's horrible. Yes. How can I help, monsieur?
Where were you last night?
In my room. I read a few ancient manuscripts before going to bed. But I didn't stay up long. I was tired.
Thank you kindly. We finished. I'll have a look around and then take my leave.
Do whatever you have to do.
A Greek drachma. One of the rare ancient coins to be mentioned both in the Bible and in the Quran. Bon, on va monter en haut. I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
I believe I've identified the murderer.
Really, Louis? All right then. Please, think carefully before you give me your answer. This is a very, very serious accusation.
I think Monsieur Napoleon is the culprit.
Why is that?
I found a pistol belonging to a French fighter on the floor of Adam's room.
Napoleon isn't the only one to have fought for France here. Peru also took part in fighting during the French Revolution. Anything else?
That's it.
I have heard you out. I shall investigate on my side, but I have sincere doubts about this accusation. Given the imminence and the political issues of the conference, I trust you will leave me to conclude the case in my own way. Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She isn't missing, you know.
What? What do you mean?
My mother has left traces in every nook and cranny of your island, my lord. She's definitely here. Now, what worries me most is why she doesn't show herself.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by a work
with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far. Yet he told me that you had spoken and that you hadn't been able to reach an understanding.
That's putting it mildly. Monsieur Bonaparte is one of those guys who only understands people who think like he does.
Ah, I see what you mean. He is indeed rather inflexible when it comes to certain subjects. But I am still of the opinion that you can manage to get along.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No, your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having the support of a military man can often come in handy, Louis. You'll see. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
She was looking for someone.
What do you mean?
In Paris, we were working on a smuggling case to do with occult objects. We had just arrested a dealer who intended to go to you to meet a buyer. My mother was here to find out to whom he intended to sell his stolen treasure.
Oh. What was the name of your dealer?
The dealer was called Von Burchard. As for the buyer, he was unknown to us.
No, I don't know anything about that. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Maybe she found something out.
What do you mean?
My mother has a gift for investigating. If she had picked up a lead, nothing would have stopped her.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
Tell me about her disappearance.
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
Emily has a twin sister? Who knew my mother? What's she playing at, goddammit? That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation. Until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you.
The room was just opposite Mortimer's study.
La chambre de la tour. C'est là, je crois.
The door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor. Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real St. Paul on the road to Damascus, by Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors, too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the... There are burnt papers in the chimney.
Alors, il y a quoi là?
There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured. For what comes up here from the... What is this disc?
c'est le disque.
We'll see if it works.
Voilà.
It's open. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Pliny.
It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. Painting of Saint Mark from the collection of the apostles by Guido Reni. St. John, painted by Guido Reni. The New Testament. A volume of the Gutenberg Bible. A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
Attendez.
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
Attends, j'ai pas fait ça.
St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean? Great, honey.
Ah, d'accord. Je peux pas sortir donc.
Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings, contrary to the other apostles. How come?
Ah, d'accord, tu as reçu les résultats du Covid-19 et alors? T'as le Covid ou pas du tout? Négative. Eh bah c'est cool.
Painting of Saint Mark from the collection of the Apostles by Guido Reni. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
Eh mais c'est cool, c'est cool.
St. John, painted by Guido Reni. It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God.
Alors. Oh bordel, il y a trop d'indices.
The drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni,
faut l'observer.
is represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel.
Bon.
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
Subterfuge indisponible. Ah merde. Les personnages, talents. pas ressortir de la salle. Hein. Je peux pas. Ah, attendez. Oh bordel. Bon, c'est pas grave.
A volume of the Gutenberg Bible. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio.
Bon les amis, là je vais vous laisser parce que ça me saoule.